Welcome to Applique Day. I am so excited about doing this. I've wanted to do an applique video for a very long time, and this is a perfect opportunity to share with you a very easy way to create turned under edge applique that either can be sewn down by hand if you want to learn it that way, or I'm going to be able to show you how to do it on the sewing machine so it looks absolutely like you did it by hand. Let's talk first about the fabric in the kit. There are two fabrics in your kit that for the homework before we do our sit and sew in September, I don't want you to do anything to these two fabrics. This is the background and this is your stem. I'm going to be teaching several different ways, so just put those aside. The pre-preparation that's going to give you a great advantage is creating some of the appliques and preparing them. Okay, so what I've done here is I've put some of the fabrics that are in your kit and we've already put the appliques on them. So how did we do that? Well, I created for you, and many of you have picked this up. Okay, I created for you a set of 3 sheets of applique patterns. Okay, I traced some leaves and I traced some extra flowers and leaves back here. So all you have to do is pick this up for me. Come in, and some of you already have some of this. This is called applique template paper. What it is it's freezer paper, and when you print on it, put it through your printer. You can see this particular one, there's the paper side. If I turn it over, you can kind of see the shiny side. That's the side that's going to stick to the back of our fabric when we iron it down or we press it down on each of our fabrics. So, first step is once you print these on, and it has on here how many of each sheet you need. Once you print these with your printer, and remember, you're just printing, you're just copying, no scanning. Anytime you use your printer copier and you scan, it will change your size. We do not want that. We want these to be the size that Nancy wants them to be. Okay, so what I started here is what you're going to do once you get these printed on the freezer paper is you're going to cut out each shape on the dotted line or on the line for each and every one. Okay, then separate out your fabrics. If you want to start with the biggest one, okay, the flower is actually your biggest design. And we need 4 of those because we're actually going to create 4 of these to go around our star. Well, you have a fat 1/8, and what I have done here, and I'm going to stand so you can see this a little bit better, what I've done here is iron, and then the freezer paper side, the shiny side, will press to the back of your paper templates that you have created, okay? And now notice that 4 of them pretty much fit. What I have tried to do is keep a 1/2 inch, okay, in between each applique shape. Stick to that rule because we're going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So we need each applique to have approximately a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So you have to lay them on your fabric a 1/2 inch apart. The other thing that does not necessarily matter is how you put them on. Okay, here's some leaves. Each flower, each one of our 4 blocks has 6 of these and 4 of the straightated ones, which are the ones that you can see back here. Notice that on the fabric, I have put them on a diagonal. It is easier for a piece of fabric to roll around a piece of paper if you put them on the diagonal. That's an old hand applique trick that Annie taught me many, many, many years ago. Okay? Let me see. Okay, let's talk about the cutting utensils that you need. With the cutting out of the paper templates, I just have a piece of paper scissors, a pair of paper scissors that I do not use because paper, they say, can actually dull your blades. So what you want is a great pair of just fabric scissors, because when it gets to cutting out the template shape, you do not want to chew the fabric. So our favorite one here is Karen K. Buckley's pair of scissors, and she comes in different sizes, but Karen K is the one who taught most of us to do applique years ago, and she has magnificent techniques, and so she thought it important to bring out scissors that worked well with that. Okay, let's go ahead, and we've talked about placement, and I'm actually going to show you this. When I get them ironed on the back and we trace around a 1/4 inch, and I'll take out a couple of these so you can see. Okay, I try to have 1/4 of an inch seam allowance all the way around. If you get more than 1/4 of an inch, it's hard for them to be smooth when you turn them to the back. If you get less than 1/4 of an inch, and you only do 1/8 of an inch, they don't want to turn so easily. Okay, enter what we're going to keep them down with. These are fabric glue pens. They were created just for appliqueurs. They're not as big as your regular glue sticks, and they are refillable. So once you get one of these from me, you can get refills that'll go down inside here once you use all this glue. And I pretty much think by the time you're done with these 4 blocks, you will have used more than just one set of glue that's in here. Okay, Mike is going to turn this down, so hopefully you can see I have a couple of leaves here. Start with this leaf shape. A little bit more, a little bit more. Okay, I want to get this as close as possible. And notice I have basically 1/4 of an inch going around. I tip this edge off just a little bit, but it could still be a point. Okay, the right side of this fabric is here. Okay, it's been ironed onto the wrong side of my fabric. What I'm going to do is just take a little bit of glue and come all the way around. I usually don't go all the way around at first. I just do a little bit. We have a tool in the industry that is actually borrowed from the nail industry. You can get these at the drugstore to push down your cuticles, okay, but it's great. I have a friend who, when she tried this technique with just her fingers got all sticky because she has very warm hands. I don't necessarily have that problem, so I could start turning this under just with my thumb. Okay, but if you have an issue, and you have very warm hands, warm heart, right? You can actually use these little fellas. I think I'll probably go ahead and get some more for you if you can't find them. So we've done the easy part. We've gone around a gentle curve. The hard thing is to make a nice smooth around up at the corner. And of course, as you talk, sometimes the glue may come off. I don't just keep on going. I'll actually put the corner down, and then I'll skip a little bit and skip a little bit, and then come back and try to smooth these in. Now what you will find, and I'm going to hold this up in a second that's closer, because what happens is the fabric tucks. The fabric's going to tuck around here, and if you turn it over and you have any little points, like I have a point from that tuck that shows up there, just put it back down, take your finger and kind of smooth it in, and that tuck will go right away. We want all of our rounded edges to be smooth, smooth, smooth. All right, so I'm coming down here and I'm approaching the point. What I'm going to do is go ahead and let it fall all the way over across the other one that I already turned under. Okay, but you notice I still have a little raw edge showing down here. So Karen taught us something called the scrunch method. So you folded it all the way one direction, fold it all the way back to the other direction, and then simply just take and just put a little glue on there and bring it to the back. Now we also have a little cheat, because we're going to put these behind the stem. So if you end up with a point that's not really great, and I'm going to show you the hardest shape to do here in a sec, if you're not pleased with this, you can open it up and do it again. But if that's going to slide down underneath the stem, it's going to be fine. All right, let's look at what I was talking to you about. This one is probably the hardest shape that you're going to do with points, because the points are so much greater. Okay, I do the same thing. I use the scrunch method, but many times there is too much fabric. Okay, so here's a point. I'm going to trim this off just a little bit, and see what's happened here. My freezer paper started to come off here. Just take your iron, press that back down again, and that's a better corner to try to do the scrunch method with. Now these will say to you large leaf B and BR. BR stands for reverse. So what I want you to do when you're putting these on the paper is to put 4 of them down. Put 4 of them down right side up, and then glue 4 of them so that the shiny side is up. And what you've created is a reverse shape. And the reason for that is when we put these fellas into the flower, we want a reverse shape. Let's see, these are the same, as you can see. And this one is the same. Or did I have a reverse guy around here somewhere? I guess the best way to see it is back on this one. So after you cut out this one, that's the reverse shape. Then they will turn opposite when we go to put them on the flower. That's just, I figured it would be a little bit of confusion with that R. Now the same thing happens on these little flowers. Okay, you're supposed to cut out 4, and then you cut out 4 flipped over. Any questions on that, write to me, bring them in. You know, we've got the whole month of August to play because we're not doing this until September. Now, the other thing I want to show you is what's called concave or convex. When you're doing a concave turn, I trim this, clip it just a little bit with my scissor. You can see how I've trimmed that about just like 3 or 4 times maybe in that curve. What it does is it helps the fabric, because when you turn it back, see how it opens up? So you have to have an area that will open up for you. And then it's nothing more than doing what we've already done. Okay, we have a convex shape here that we want to push back around. And then watch how easily this fella goes to the back. And what you don't want to do is you want to always make sure that you're turning at the edge of the paper. Okay, don't turn the paper. Don't go so far in that you're turning the paper, because that obviously, the fun thing about applique is it is free, and if one flower is slightly different than another one, it's not going to make any difference because it's applique and you're never going to notice it. The last point I want to tell you about is good old purple pop. Okay, we did not put any purple pop into month number 6 because you've got plenty of purple pop left in 3 and 4. Okay, and it does tell you that on the pattern, but you might have an issue with that. So purple pop, you need 4 of these, and retrieve that fabric from your previous fabric. I think that's it. I hope you have please take your time with these. And yeah, you can please take your time with them and keep going. Call me or write to me. I'm going to be going to Pennsylvania next week, but I'll be back after that for the rest of the month if you have any questions, because I hope you really enjoy this, because sewing is a piece of cake and it's really easy. God bless America. God bless America. Thank you. Bye-bye.